So, the pedos have come to minds. I don't even know where to begin with this. I really don't. I don't think I have to explain to most people that pedophilia is wrong, why it's wrong, and I don't think the pedophiles that are advocating for it, or as they like to call it, pedosexuality and minor attracted persons, I don't think they're gonna get it anyway. So why the fuck am I doing this? Because I'm angry. And it's my fucking channel, and I can scream into the abyss about whatever I fucking want. A Minds user by the name of LadyDMagnus has written an article on the influx of pedophiles on Minds and collected a nice chunk of some of their posts and some of their comments and replies to other comments. And I've picked a few of them. And now I'm going to shit on them. For those unfamiliar with Minds, the dark blue text is the actual poster of the comment. The @LadyDMagnus there is an @reply to LadyDMagnus, so, don't get confused here. Children are sexual beings since they're human beings. Wrong. Children are quite literally unfinished humans. A lot of animals get born in a state that within minutes of birth they're walking, swimming, clinging. Human beings are born undercooked because our brains are so big and so complex that if we gestated any longer, we'd either be breaking hips or crushing skulls during the birth process. And it can take up to 25 years from birth to complete the brain's development. So no, children are incomplete human beings and are not sexual beings. The belief that children can't consent to sex for lack of an ability to make an informed decision is one of the most schizophrenic things a person could possibly believe when compared to other things children are allowed and even expected to do. I don't think anyone who's not a pedophile is going to sympathize with you here. I really don't. And this awkward attempt at poisoning the well is not going to fool anybody. Since when has a lack of understanding been a moral barrier to being educated about something? If a child doesn't understand calculus, is it immoral to teach them math? Well, no, because math doesn't have inherently within it the potential to traumatize a child for life. I'm not advocating for the right to be sexual with children. First and second sentence, you advocate for a child's right to consent to sex. So by extension, you're advocating for your right to be sexual with children. It's exactly what you're doing. Here's another gem from Jenny Lover 83 to LadyDMagnus. I don't think sexual activity is some kind of complicated social contract that requires deliberation or special knowledge of any kind. Can someone please, I'm asking seriously, someone point out to me a social contract more complicated than getting naked with another person, rubbing your naked bodies together and taking a part of one of their bodies and putting it in a part of the others? And vice versa, maybe, if that's what you're into. Somebody explain to me a more complicated... I'm so fucking angry. I'm so fucking angry. The dumbest of wild beasts have sex. So saying you need to require high knowledge to participate in sex is ridiculous. Well, We are not the dumbest of wild beasts, are we? We are, as far as we know, the most intelligent of all the beasts. So, yes, we do require deliberation and special knowledge before we engage in sex, because that's the kind of animal we are. Well, most of us. I'm taking a little break from reading the posts and comments because I am getting really, really riled up about it. And I think I'm experiencing what's called the disgust response. Jordan Peterson explained it to me through YouTube videos. I don't talk to Jordan Peterson. And I'm not going to do it justice, so don't quote me on it. Go look it up if you want a better description of what it is. But the disgust response is the response that we have to small, insidious predators like spiders and snakes and even rats that we know how dangerous they can be. And so it's almost like hate. But apparently we experience this disgust response far more strongly when it involves children. When there's a snake about to bite a baby, a complete stranger would snatch up that baby and try to kill the snake. And that, had a huge evolutionary advantage from hundreds of thousands of years ago to tens of thousands of years ago. But we still experience it. In particular, when it comes to children. That someone that would hurt children, that would prey on children, gets this response from us. And there are cases in which that disgust response can go horribly awry. I'm given to understand that people think Hitler was having a disgust response to the Jews and thought of them as vermin. And so there was that. But Jews aren't trying to diddle your kids. I'm sure there's pedophiles among the Jews, but they don't inherently, it's not a Jewish thing to diddle children. But the people who want to diddle children, they want to diddle children, and I think it is completely appropriate to have that kind of disgust response. That angry, almost hateful, instinctively ready to harm somebody to protect a child response. I think this next bit fits into the last bit quite nicely, actually. We're better than the other animals. Fuck you, vegans, we are. And we don't have to give in to our impulses. Despite the fact that many people would like to just, curb stomp pedophiles. We don't do that because we're civilized people in a civilized society. Jenny Lover. I believe punishment causes distress. No fucking shit. It's supposed to. That's what punishment is. That's how you know you've done something wrong. The greater the punishment, the greater the distress. Well, see, that's because the greater the crime, the greater the punishment, ideally. Pedophilia is one of the most punished things on earth. Yeah. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it's horrific. No one is even allowed to not be traumatized by pedophile sexual activity. Well, no, that's not true. The lucky ones won't be traumatized for life. Anyone who doesn't show guilt and shame and fear and trauma, or at least a deep sense of wrongness for being sexually involved with a pedophile, but instead express defiance and a desire to do it again, would be positively vilified. No, we wouldn't vilify the child, but we would make it clear to them that it was wrong, and they're not allowed to make that decision. I'm going to circle back to that. But the villain is you, not the child. No one's going to vilify the child, right? If a child wants to break things, we don't vilify them. We teach them. Fuck's sake. children are by and large stupid. That's because they're incomplete humans with undeveloped brains. And we don't let them make their own decisions for their own good. We don't let them decide their own bedtime. We don't let them decide to drop out of school. We don't let them vote. And we don't let them decide what to eat. If children could make their own decisions, 90% of the time it would be never homework and always candy for dinner. We don't do that because it would be bad for them. Why in fuck would we ever, in good conscience, let them decide who diddles them? I think this is going to be the last one I can handle. This is from a different user, CL Serenity, from their post, talking about their inactivity on Minds, shame. I've been suspended from Twitter, and a physical manifestation of Lady D's article applauding Twitter for getting one fucking right. So that makes Minds my primary platform for MAP activism, minor attracted persons. Let's give it a chance, although I'm still not so certain that such controversial activism is welcome here. Activism is welcome on Minds. This is not activism. This is predation. That's why you're not welcome, because you're a predator. All that said, free fucking speech is a double-edged goddamn sword. And as much as I don't like it, these scumbags can say whatever the fuck they want. I mean, we're going to call them scumbags and call them out on their bullshit. They're demonstrably incorrect. But they can say it. They can say it, as long as they're not diddling fucking children. And I hope to God they aren't. But if they are, I hope they get caught. And I hope they go to prison. And I hope they get put in general population. I hope they're in there with the thieves and the murderers and the regular old rapists. Because even those who are arguably among the worst in our society, the most amoral people, will instinctively share that disgust response. That instinct to protect children, even though they're far too late. And see, the thing about that disgust response is it turns a spider or a snake, even a harmless garter snake, the disgust response turns it into a monster. And when thieves and murderers and regular old rapists find out that somebody diddled a kid in these scummiest, amoral people, they see a fucking monster. There's no other way to describe this. It's monstrous. Relevant links to shit I said in the description? Maybe. I'm Irving Twin. Like, subscribe, or don't. It's a free country. At least it used to be.